Right, so hey everyone and welcome back to another budget photography video. So in 2012, Canon updated their standard kit lens to the 18 to 55mm STM image stabilized. And even in 2021, this lens is pretty damn good. It has an aperture of f3.5 to 5.6 when fully zoomed in. Now, what I will say is the 18 to 55mm isn't actually 18 to 55mm because it's a crop censored lens. It is designed to go on a crop censored camera, not a full frame. It is an EFS lens, not an EF, an EFS lens, which means you have to crop by 1.6. Now, I don't mean bringing the number down even further from 18mm. No, you're looking at about 28 to 88mm full frame, which is still kind of okay. It's not the best, it's still wide, but it's not 18mm wide. And especially with that dark aperture at 88mm, you're gonna need slower shutter speeds. But luckily, Canon did put in image stabilization, which is a really nice feature to have, especially when you're shooting videos and you really max it out to about 1/30th at an absolute max handheld. But anything lower than that, you're gonna start to see some jitters and the image is just gonna fall apart. Now, yes, this is an f3.5, but it does have 7 lens elements. And at 88mm/55mm, fully zoomed in, you get quite nice bokeh. It's not as nice as something like the Canon 50mm 1.8, but it is still fairly decent, especially if you're just learning photography, and that is exactly what this lens is for. It is designed for you to learn photography with, and that's about it. I wouldn't recommend turning up to a professional shoot with the kit lens, really. It's not the best. Sometimes it can be quite slow to focus, and that STM motor isn't really the best. I mean, it's not as bad as this current lens that I'm using right now, this 24 to 105. I mean, if I could just come closer and just, can you hear that? Can you hear the focus motors trying to focus on my hand? Yeah, this lens really struggles with trying to stay in focus. This isn't very good. But luckily, the 18 to 55 doesn't have as much of a problem because it uses the STM lens. Now, one thing that I really don't like is the focusing motor. It uses an electronic focusing motor rather than a manual one. So if I turn this to manual focus, I can get this nice and out of focus myself, and I just look a horrible mess. Well, at least I should do, but for some reason I'm not. I'm still looking just as good as I always do. So it's calling me a liar for some reason. I don't know why, but I should probably be out of focus. So it's so yeah, this lens uses a physical focusing motor. This uses electronic, and I can move it and nothing happens when it's not strapped to a camera, which is good, especially if you've kind of got kids around and you don't really want them playing with it. But you shouldn't really let your kids play with your camera gear. You shouldn't let me near your camera gear, because I just nearly dropped that. I'm going to put that down on the table next to me, and I'll try not to break it. Now, yes, images from this lens can look really nice with minimal chromatic aberration, which is a really good thing to see, especially in such a cheap lens. And the fact that it is using Canon's EFS mount means it will fit on most crop bodies. It will not fit on a full frame body. Believe me, I tried when I was first starting out. Doesn't work. It just won't work. They are not designed to fit on a full frame body. You can fit a full frame lens on a crop sensitive body, but not a crop sensor on and even if you could, you'd be looking, you'd have a massive hole that kind of be like that, and then all of the rest of where my hands are would just be black. It doesn't look very good. I tried when I was younger, and yeah. Now, a few of my favorite things about this lens is its construction and design. You're probably thinking, well, it's not very nice. It doesn't look very spectacular. It's just a lens, and that's the point. I still do use this lens on this camera. This is my main shooting lens, believe it or not, for YouTube. Purely because it doesn't look very expensive. It's got a full plastic design, including the EFS mount just there. That's all plastic, and it doesn't look very expensive. So if it was to get nicked, I'm not really worried about it because it doesn't cost much, and it's unlikely to get stolen because it doesn't look expensive because, well, frankly it's not. It's a kit lens. So I'd rather really, if I was given the option, I'd rather lose the 18-55 than my 24-105 that I'm currently using right now. Or even, actually, the 50mm 1.8. I really do like this cheap lens. Such a good lens. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me in this video. I'm running out of time, so I will see you in the next one.